Greetings, people. So this video we'll talk about peace over drama. When you lease on with Crete, it's natural for there to be a certain level of conflict. It's inevitable. You can't get around it. I don't care what organization you're a part of. You're dealing with people, you're going to be dealing with conflict. Now, how this conflict comes about is it is because Crete offers a lot of things to their owner-operators. They offer truck purchase, which is good for a first-time buyer. I'll give them credit for that. It's good for your first truck. But they also offer insurance, and they offer to do the maintenance on that truck, and they give you the loan, and that comes with some strings attached. You have to have a required maintenance account, which means they're going to automatically deduct money from your pay settlement every week and put it in a separate account that you can't touch. It's money that's designated for maintenance only. So you can't spend it on a CB radio. You got to get their approval in order to spend it. And then you have a speed limiter on that truck. So there's a lot of things going on here. They have a lot of control over that truck. If you buy that truck from Crete, they got a lot of control over that truck, and indirectly they therefore have a lot of control over you as the owner operator. Half of your money is tied up in that maintenance account. Your truck payment, if you buy a truck from Crete, they're gonna get that truck payment every week. And they're going to deduct, a few $100s every week. I think it's 18 cents per mile to go in that required maintenance account. And the conflict comes about because there's money involved, and you got to get their permission, and if you do get work done at their shop, there's conflict there because it may not be as quick as you would like or as quality you would like. Or you're not being treated like a customer, you're being treated like an employee. The shops aren't open to the public. They mostly are there to work on company trucks. Now they'll also work on owner-operator trucks, but they're not going to treat you any different than they would any other employee. that could be a source of conflict right there. So there's many points of conflict. There's several. Okay. And this is why, sometimes you'll experience or hear of the drama owner operators have dealing with Crete. It can be difficult. There's no doubt about it. It can be very difficult. You could have $15,000 in that required maintenance account and you can't touch it. You can't touch it until your truck is paid off, and then you can't leave Crete. If you bought a Crete truck, you can't leave Crete until that truck is paid off, so it's frustrating. It can be extremely frustrating. And what Crete has done is not unique. I think a lot of companies do this, is that they capture all the sources of revenue. Henry Ford used to do this when he created the Model A and Model T, automobile. He had the company store. Henry Ford, you would have had their own housing in the company store. I mean, you worked for Ford, you lived in Ford housing, and you bought from the Ford grocery store. That money didn't go anywhere. It stayed right there with the company. Well, Crete's no different. I mean, and Crete's not the only one that does this. A lot of these big box carriers do that. They capture all that revenue as much as they can. They're like, look, all these owner-operators need to buy trucks. We'll sell them trucks. They all need loans. We'll give them loans. They all need maintenance. We'll give them maintenance. They all need insurance. We'll give them insurance. And all that money stays right there with Crete. But it's not, you don't necessarily being treated like a customer. Many times you're being treated like an employee when you go down that road. Now, my last truck I bought from a dealership. So I didn't use Crete financing. I got my own financing. I bought the truck from the dealership. I don't have a speed limiter, and I don't have the required maintenance account. And I get all my maintenance done at the Peterbilt dealership. I don't use Crete Mechanics. And it removed all those points of conflict, all of them. The only contact I have with Crete nowadays is with the dispatcher to get me loads. That's it. That's it. In many ways, you could say if I replace one service with a different provider, then essentially I fired the original provider of that service. So if I take work away from a mechanic and I give it to another mechanic, I essentially fired that mechanic. In many ways, it's kind of like what I did with most things with Crete. Not malicious or anything like that, but you gotta watch this guy getting awful close to my truck. What an idiot. Night. Pulled to the right instead of pulling to the left. It's a complete idiot. So if I replace the mechanic, I've essentially fired the mechanic. If I replace their insurance, I've fired their insurance. If I replace their truck with another truck, I fired your salespeople. If I wanted to keep doing business with them, I would have, but I fired them all. And I've been better off for it ever since. It's not that I didn't like these people, but there's too much drama. There's too much conflict. There's too much butting heads. There's too much control over the truck. There's too much control of the money. And I freed myself from all that. And so this is the path of peace. You could choose peace or you could choose drama. If you're going to get in bed with Crete, you're going to have a lot of drama. It's okay to lease your truck to Crete, but do you have to buy the truck from Crete? No. Do you have to get the maintenance done at Crete? No. Do you have to buy the Crete insurance? No. The less you have to deal with them, the more peaceful your life will become. And now that it's been 6 months since I bought the truck from the dealership, it's never been better. I'm perfectly happy. I'm treated like a customer. The dealership treated me like a customer. I get my truck insurance through OIDA. They treat me like a customer. I go to Peterbilt. I get my maintenance done. They treat me like a customer. I only have one person in the entire organization of Crete that I even talk to. That's the dispatcher. That's it. I don't talk to anybody else. I eliminated 5 or 6 difficult people that were providing all these services in-house. And I would have conflict with each and every one of them because they either controlled the truck, they controlled the money, they controlled the insurance. I'm like, you're all fired. You're the CEO of your own company. You hire, you fire, and you promote accordingly. If you're not happy, fire that person. Go get you another service provider. And many times it's cheaper, better, and you got a higher level of customer service. Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want cheaper insurance? OIDA was cheaper than Crete. They couldn't believe it. And it came with a tow reimbursement of like $750. So not only did I get cheaper insurance on my tractor, but I got a benefit that I didn't have with Crete. And then, I get my maintenance done at Peterbilt, and, the repairs come with a 1-year national warranty, so that's great. And other things that may need to be fixed on a truck is under warranty, from the manufacturer's warranty up to 500,000 miles. So I got to go to the dealership anyways. And Crete doesn't work on Peterbilts, so I don't need Crete mechanics for that, so, and I got all my money from my pay settlement. They're not putting it in a separate maintenance account that I can't touch. That's ridiculous when you think about it. It's absolutely ridiculous. Nope, all that money comes to me now. I have control over my own finances. So the Crete Truck Purchase Program is designed for the first-time truck buyers, first-time owner-operator. It's there to to give you a hand up. But I don't recommend it on your second and third trucks. When I got the truck loan from the dealership, my credit score is over 800. So I got an interest rate of 8.75%. Crete wanted over 11%. Crete wouldn't even negotiate on the interest rate. I got the loan terms for 36 months. Crete's loan is 30 months. I pay one monthly truck payment. Crete takes money out of your pay installment every week. So these points of contact that you have within the organization naturally creates conflict. The more conflict there is, the more drama there is. The more drama there is, the less of a distraction it is for you to run your business. It's so much smoother just to get other providers for everything you need and keep your contact with Crete to a minimum. The more you can do that, the more peace you will have and the happier you will be. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. So watching. We'll see you on the internet.